What's up, y'all? It's that time of year again. Now, I know what you're saying. Dom, Christmas just passed. No, I'm not talking about Christmas. I'm talking about the new Tyler Perry movie, okay? Joe's College Road Trip. And as usual, with every Tyler Perry movie in the past 5 years, it's caused a lot of online discourse. There's a lot of people clutching their pearls because, of course, this is the first Tyler Perry movie that's rated R, and his core church fan base is kind of losing their minds right now. Matter of fact, it's a lot of people online asking for somebody to do a wellness check for Tyler Perry, make sure he's okay. So they trying to call the cops and to have somebody like just drive by his house and just make sure that he's all right, that he's not in there hurting himself or something like that. Now, if you don't know Joe's College Road Trip, it's about this Uncle Joe who's in, a lot of Tyler Perry movies, his nephew or his great grand cousin, I don't know what you would call him, his younger relative that's in college. He's very I feel like it's offensive to say Oreo now, so I'll just say he's not interested in anything black, including black colleges. His Uncle Joe takes him on a road trip to get the true black experience. Now, why this black experience is full of debauchery, I don't know. What are they trying to say with that? I mean, in the great words of Martin Lawrence, is it just me or is it a conspiracy? Well, whatever. I'll leave it to you to figure out. But basically, he takes them on this road trip across America, and they hit up a whorehouse, take somebody to a motel, do some drugs here and there, get into a nice bar fight. It's not a road trip movie without a bar fight, right? I don't know, somebody got trafficked in the movie. I mean, it's not a Tyler Perry movie without some good old black suffering. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. But basically what you find out, they're like historical landmarks where black history went down, right? I won't tell you what the landmarks are just in case you want to see for yourself. I won't spoil it. But that's basically what the movie is in just a very short couple sentences. And of course, like I said, his core fan base, which comes from the black church, they are clutching their pearls and clutching their little giant church hats because they are offended. It is too much cursing for them. It's too much debauchery, some nudity, some smoking some drugs, you know what I'm saying? Some curse words, and they're appalled. They're like, what happened to the good old Christian Tyler Perry that we used to know and love? And to that I say, that man never existed. This is what Tyler Perry has always done. It's just ratcheted up a little bit more. But he's always done this. He's always mixed church and the world. This is something that he's always done. He's always been worldly, and he's always had a church vibe about him. Nothing's changed. I remember when I first saw him, I was like in middle school, and my teacher, who's a dude, he's like, y'all gotta watch this. Now this is a math class. This guy stopped the math class. We didn't learn any math that day. He stopped the whole class just to tell us, I have this play on VHS and I need all of y'all to watch it. And it's crazy because at that time, people weren't even watching VHSs. They were watching DVDs, and yet he still brought a VHS. It's crazy because this was in the 2000s. It was in the, you know what I'm saying? It was the 2000s, but he straight up pulled out a VHS and he's like, yo, I need y'all to watch this play and tell me what you think about it. Hey, only us would do that. And so, he plays the tape, and it's this guy and he's dressed up like a woman, and it's this play about, I can't remember, probably about some woman that got done wrong and Medea helped her or something like that, typical Tyler Perry stuff. And I just remember seeing it, and you know what? I remember being a kid and laughing. It was either Medea or Joe that was making inappropriate jokes, and so it was funny. And so I do remember laughing. Now, when I first saw this little play on this VHS, I never thought this guy would start making movies because, we were coming off of the late 90s where you had movies with well-to-do young black people doing good in life, and they had all these complex feelings, and intricate stories, and they were like real dramatic actors and stuff like that. And so I never thought Tyler Perry would make it big in movies. But you know, you fast forward a few years later from when I saw that VHS, and he's the biggest thing in Black Hollywood. And you know, his movies, you know, they just had a little bit of cursing, but not a lot. You know, they had some sexual references and some sexual jokes, but you know, it wasn't everywhere, you know, just enough to keep regular people interested and Christian people kind of laughing at the naughtiness of it. At that time, I couldn't stand him, to be honest with you. I'm not even gonna lie. I hated the fact that he was wearing a dress. I hated, to me, what looked like black suffering movies. I was just like, oh boy. And some people critiqued, you know, his characterization of dark-skinned black people. Some people critiqued his characterization of black men, but you know, his movies get a little, you know, they get a little raunchier, right? They get a little more sexy. There's a little more cursing in his Netflix films than the staged to screen adaptations, right? You know, it's just a little more sensational. And I noticed there's less God in the Netflix movies that he's doing now, right? Before there just seemed to be a little more church and God than there is now. Is that because of Netflix? Is that because of the time that we're in? I don't know. But what I do know is that all these things existed in his movies before. It just wasn't as in your face as it is now. You know, at one point his stuff was looked at as melodramatic, right? He's always kind of been like that, right? But now he's like borderline telenovela. These really are black telenovelas at this point. I feel like he's starting to lose track of the plot of his films, and not just the plot of his films, but I feel like he's almost losing track of the godly aspects of his film. Even when you get the God portion, it's like, but you surrounded it with all this sin and like, in his defense, I mean, I guess you could say that the world is full of sin, but like, I don't know that we're supposed to be entertained by it necessarily. Now that brings us back to the present, Joe's College Road Trip, which is, again, his first rated R or TV mature movie. And a lot of his older fan base, and even some of the young people who just aren't used to this much craziness in his movies, are kind of like, what is going on here? This is not the Tyler Perry we used to know. What happened to Christian Tyler Perry? Did Hollywood get to him? And my response is no. Tyler Perry is doing what he's always done. He's always mixed church with the world. He's always mixed these things together. That includes his play, right? But we kind of let these things slide. You know, that core fan base, they thought it was funny. They were like, hey, it's just a little sex joke here and there, no big deal. It's funny. It's just a couple of curse words here and there, no big deal. That's how people talk. Oh, okay, a couple raunchy comments, no big deal, right? But here's the thing. A little bit of leaven leavens a whole lump. Okay, it is written in the Bible. You let a little bit in, and eventually you're gonna let a lot of it in. How you spend your dollars reinforces to studios and creators what you want. And church people spent their money on Tyler Perry movies that were full with these things already and said, this is what we want. And so now he's giving it to you in droves, in spades, right? But you sent the initial message that, hey, we're willing to turn a blind eye to these things because you're entertaining us and you have a little Christian message in there, right? So we basically told him, hey, we don't mind cursing. We don't mind sex. We don't mind drugs. We don't mind these things. And so he's like, okay, bet. I'm going to give you as much as possible now, right? And that's kind of the story of history, right? Like, people make these small compromises that affects them and everybody else later on down the line, whether you're talking about Adam and Eve, whether you're talking about David and Bathsheba, whether you're talking about Abraham having sex with Sarah's handmaiden, and then they create Ishmael, who has beef with them till this day. Ishmael's descendants have beef with Abraham's descendants. Even now, there will never be peace in the Middle East till Jesus comes back because of that one decision, that one compromise Abraham made caused all this chaos because he didn't trust God. He didn't trust what God said. Look at media. Look at TV. TV used to be nice, family oriented. You know what I'm saying? When we talking about Leave It to Beaver, or when we talking about some of the 80s family shows, it was nice. But then, you know, we compromised. We let a little bit of crazy in, a little bit of MTV in, a little bit of that must-see TV on NBC, a little bit of HBO Sex in the City in, and, you know, we compromised just a little bit. And then you look at TV now, you go on Netflix or something now, and everything you watch is filled with spiritual darkness. Even when it seems like it's light fare, it's full of sin. It takes the Golden Girls. This sounds hilarious, but it takes the Golden Girls to get to Sex in the City. Fact. Hey, them old ladies was kind of ratchet. Remember when that like activist lady Dolores Tucker was mad at Tupac and mad at Snoop Dogg and said they were using the B word too much and calling too many women hoes, and that eventually if they kept doing that in their music, then in a couple of generations, all the hip hop listeners would see their women as B words and hoes? Kind of prophetic now that you look at it, right? She was warning people, hey yo, let's not compromise in this right now, or this is gonna have effects down the road. It wasn't always like this. There used to be love songs, like true love songs, right? Not toxic R&B songs, true love songs, but you let a little toxic in. You let a little sex in, and then it oversaturates the market. When that first NWA album came out, you know, I'm sure people were like, yo, these brothers is real. They just talking about what's going on the streets. Then the Chronic comes after that though. Then Doggy Style comes after that though. The devil doesn't need culture to leave the door wide open. He just needs a little crack that he can slip in through. That's all he needs. If he can find that little crack in the door that you left open, he gonna bust that door wide open. You know what I'm saying? That's just the reality of Satan. That's the reality of life. That's the reality of sin. And the thing is, the devil makes sin look like it's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? He's just like, oh, you can just do this small thing and it will be fine. Just have this instant gratification really quick. But that instant gratification can make you suffer, man. When I was 12 years old and I saw a naked woman pop on my computer screen, I was like, it's no big deal. I'm just gonna look at this real quick. And then I looked at it for like a decade later. More than that. Let me not lie. More than a decade later. That one little decision left to over a decade of pain and struggle. And sometimes even our bad decisions, right, from that one moment decision, that one compromise can pass on to our kids and our kids' kids. And then you got just generations of people compromising because of that one choice somebody made in our family a long time ago. That one compromise. But you know what's interesting? You know what makes Jesus is he never compromised with sin, right? Jesus is holy. And so he's like, yo, I'm not going to compromise with something just because it would make life easier for me. He's like, I know right from wrong, and I'm gonna hold it down and do what I know is right. And then he looks at us and then he says, yo, I'm holy, so you be holy as I'm holy. So he expects us to also not compromise with sin. What are you compromising with right now? What are you letting slide that you know the Holy Spirit is telling you, hey, you need to cut that out now? If you feel the Holy Spirit telling you that you need to not compromise with a certain thing, it's not to ruin your good time. It's not to take your desires away. It's to protect you. On a side note though, why can't we get good Black Christian movies? We don't have a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? They're not well known for sure. I mean, they probably do make them, but I don't think they're very well known really. You know what I mean? I know there's War Room and a couple others, but when you really think about it, there aren't a lot. And I don't understand why that would be the case. The Black church market is a huge market. So if they weren't going to do it for good reasons, you would think they would at least do it for financial reasons. I don't know, man, because when I watch TV and I listen to music, I'm just like, it's crazy over here, bro. And some of the shows, like, they're enjoyable. Right? Some of the music, the beat sounds fire. I'm not gonna lie. But like, I feel like it's not edifying. You know what I'm saying? Even if you take being a Christian out of it, I just feel like, what can I really get out of this? It's all just spiritually dark to me and not helpful. Like, why are the kids so crazy, Dom? Well, we're not teaching them any morals. So of course the kids are crazy. What is 6'7"? I don't know. Anyway, I'm out of here. Peace.